Guess who just got back today? Them wild-eyed boys that had been away. Hadn't changed, hadn't much to say. I still think those guys are great. They were asking if you'd been around, how you was, where you could be found. Told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. You remember that chick that used to dance a lot? Every night she'd be on the floor shaking what she'd got. Man, when I tell you she was cool, she was red hot. I mean, she was steaming. Then that time over at Johnny's place, this chick, she got up and she slapped Johnny's face. Man, we just fell about the place. If that chick don't want to know, forget her. The boys are back in town. I said the boys are back in town. Spread the word around. Guess who's back in town? Spread the word around. Friday night they'll be dressed to kill down at Dino's Bar and Grill. The drink will flow and blood will spill, and if the boys wanna fight, you better let 'em. That jukebox over in the corner blasting out my favorite song. The nights are getting warmer and it won't be long till summer comes. Now that the boys are here again, the boys are back in town. I said the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Yeah. It's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing. Sipping on coke and rum, I'm like, so what, I'm drunk. It's the freaking weekend, baby, I'm about to have me some fun. Crystal popping in the stretch navigator. We got food everywhere, as if the party was catered. Fellas on my left, honeys to my right. You put it both together, we gon' party all night, yeah.
Tot slot van dit portret van de Mountain Goats hoorde je hoe ze Boys Are Back in Town van Thin Lizzy coverde.
Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, we're going to be working on Gyee, the tabletop role-playing game, some more. For those who don't know or are just tuning in, Gyee is a game. It's a mobile game, actually. And that mobile game is about buff men being buff, going on adventures to try to out-buff other people. And by out-buff them, I mean fight them, because it's magical fantasy land, whether you like it or not. Well, what have we done since last time? Well, since last time, let me just close out of this because I don't need you anymore for right now anyway. Since last time, I actually did quite a few things. So if we scroll in here, one major thing is I kind of cleared up this, kind of fixed some things here, and I also added in criticals and fumbles. Criticals and fumbles are pretty easy. If you roll a 10, you have a critical. If you have a roll a 1, you have a fumble. If you succeed the check and have criticals, something good happens. If you just have more criticals, something is good going to happen. If you have more fumbles, something bad is going to happen. In sheer technicality, you can roll 10s and still fail a check, but you're still going to do good. You've critically, it's good. Things are good, things are going to happen. You're not going to feel as dramatically. You might get a second shot, something else might occur. Roll a bunch of 1s and you still succeed, you're going to succeed with consequences. Have fun, fuck you. So, the other thing is, I actually added raises from Legend of the Five Rings, actually, which is a fairly common roll and keep system idea, but this isn't really roll and keep. Just pretty much what you can do is you can increase the difficulty of your check, pretty much. Instead of needing 1 success, you can say, I'm going to need 3 successes to do this, but I'm going to be able to do this, this, and this. And you're like, okay. It's also a way for the GM to say, okay, you want to, instead of kick open the door, you want to kick the door and have it fly off the hinges. Okay, cool. Roll, but it's going to be with 2 raises. It's going to be difficulty check like 4 now instead of 2. And it's mostly for the confident who want to do raises. The other big thing is outside of using a lot of Bastard Bonds artwork, which Bastard Bonds is a great game, by the way. Everyone should play Bastard Bonds. It's a fantastic game. And I'll actually check tonight if I can't even just stream it, because I like that game that much. I did add this section in. I didn't know where to put it originally, but we have our very basic things of strength. I'm actually going to put with that intelligence, which is intelligence, dexterity, and vitality and endurance. Now, one thing I did notice is that there is no charisma attribute at all in this game. So I took a different approach, and that approach was technically all of these are your charisma attribute in one way or another. Its strength is just how forceful you are. That's you trying to like brute force your way into a conversation. Intelligence is how tactful you are and kind of how you can a little bit socially manipulate people by saying the right things at the right time. Fast talking, being kind of just stuck in your ways. I'm being stubborn and annoying versus being like, I'm not really going to get flustered by this. It kind of is. These are kind of the weird ones because in most games, these would be the same thing. Vitality and endurance would be the same thing. In context of the game, they are different, though. They are different because one covers your ability to take a hit, the other takes the amount of health you have. Kind of worked it in, so that's why things sound a little bit the same here. I need to actually alphabetize these, just make sure they look pretty, but then we have all our attributes. These are pretty much our derived attributes. These are things that kind of change, our attributes change, but you can add on and change things. Health points, pretty self-explanatory. It's your health. You hit 0, you're down, and you can no longer act until you get picked up. I had to add stress. I add stress for 2 reasons. Let me see. How do I use a bar of body and charisma? With that, depending on how you want to approach things, these are kind of more, you can kind of argue these to be approaches. If you want to like pretty much just burst your way through a situation, being like, I am supposed to be here, look at me, ha ha ha. You're like, if you want to infiltrate the bodybuilder bar and have no one question why you're there, and you're a 6.5 foot tall, 250 pound hunk of meat, then use dexterity, ironically, because you're just fast talking away, and strength being like, yeah, of course I'm supposed to be here. Intelligence is it's you playing with them. It's you kind of using your logic against them, being like, well, of course I'm supposed to be here. Look at me. And they're like, yeah, okay, this makes complete sense. Like, if you're kind of a thick skull, say vitality, which is you just walking in there, looking at them, being like, yeah, okay, come on in. You're supposed to be here. Because I didn't want to add it. I was thinking like, okay, so maybe I should add like a charisma attribute of some sort. I took a step back and said, I don't think I can work one in, or it's going to be like this weird dump attribute nobody wants to take. Because it just wouldn't play into many things. So I'm like, okay, let's take a step back and be like, we'll make everything the charisma attribute. Stress was added. You kind of see right here, stress. Stress was added solely for the fact that I needed something else to work with. I needed another mechanic. And this is also, you can kind of argue this is both your mental health as well as your kind of social health. People can screw with you, and it's pretty much the more stress you undertake, there's a chance that you're going to become broken. When you hit 0, everything gets harder. You're just stressed out. Things are going to get real hard real quick. This can also play into some of the things with the Gyee. I still need some information about the golden eye unleashing, that aspect. And I need some just little aspects like that to kind of flesh that out a little bit more. But it would be using stress. And that's actually how, when I get to the Gyee section, I'll explain some of my reasoning there. Magic attack, just basic magic damage. Magic defense, how much damage you actually just mitigate. Because one thing is, magic will hit. That's one of the guarantees of life. If I hit you with a magic spell, it's going to hit you if you are within range. That's why your magic defense can actually be pretty high. Because you can get hit pretty consistently. It's not like block, for example, down here, which allows you to block attacks. You can't do that. That's just not a thing. Physical attack is how much damage basic physical attacks do, as well as modifier to physical damage. It's pretty much, if you punch someone, if I walk up to someone and just deck them in the face, I'm going to do my strength and damage. If I, use a knife and quickly slash at something, I'm going to do my strength and damage plus whatever the weapon is. If I use a bow, I'm using my dexterity. If I'm using kind of like throwing my knife, using dexterity. This one's kind of weird, but this would be also like what you want to write in there kind of thing. Physical defense, kind of the same thing, just your raw basic ability to defend yourself, how much damage you just mitigate. This isn't very high, but that's fine, because I don't want it to be high. You're going to be fairly well defended like this, and you don't really need to put in armor and stuff. That's fine, that's not the point. Like, the point is to just not get hit to begin with. Speed, exactly how you think it is, it's speed. If you really want to, play with things, you put on armor to increase your physical defense at the cost of your speed. But this is how fast you act. These are all derived. That's one thing about this, that these are all derived attributes. So you don't get to change these very often unless your attributes change or you put something on, you're using a certain piece of equipment. You change these indirectly rather than I'm going to just increase my physical defense with my level up. That's not a thing. You increase your endurance. So, and finally we have our 2 combat stats. These may change. I may add another one. I may not. I don't know yet. But so far I have accuracy, which is pretty much just a bonus dice to bonus die. Now, for example, if I'm rolling to hit someone, for example, and I only have 3d10, I have a really small amount of dice. If I have an accuracy of 2, I'm going to add 2 more dice to it, just because I'm just accurate. I'm going to be able to hit you more consistently. Block is the difficulty class to actually hit you in melee combat. So if I'm running up to you, I'm going to hit you over the head with a stick, I need to beat your block. Most things are 1. Most characters are going to have 1 block. And this is for the case of you just need to roll a success to hit someone. However, characters who are more durable, things like tanks or warriors, their block is going to be higher. They're going to be able to more consistently not get hurt by damage. And that's kind of their job. Like, they want to avoid hits, they want to avoid damage, and they want to make sure that they are not being hit and just blocking it entirely. Race, most things kept the same. Humans only got graves here. And they also get their small stress bonus. Let's see. Gyee got a little bit of a change, mostly right here in Therian form. The big thing with Therian form is I was like, okay, maybe how do I want to work the passion system in? Wasn't working. The passion system was not working in the way that I had intended. However, the idea is every transformation reduces your stress by 5. So what's going to happen is that if you go from human and you want to do a full transformation, it's 1, 2. That's 10 stress, which is a lot. So you kind of want to stick in a particular form, because that's calming to you. That's nice and easy for you to kind of understand. Switching back and forth a lot is going to be kind of taxing on you. You're getting more stressed out the more you do it. So, with this system, this should encourage people to kind of stick to certain forms, while also having a incentive to... There's a cost to doing it now, and there's more of a benefit and drawback. If you're super stressed, but you need to transform really quick, there's a good chance you're going to become broken. Your stress breaks, and you're going to not be nearly as effective, which is the biggest issue there. Things are going to get a lot harder really quickly. Hopefully your full transformation kind of mitigates it, but it's going to be painful. Outside of that, they haven't really gotten much change. They have a very small stress bonus, though. Very small, but that's the point. Constructs, the only thing that really changed them is that they have a huge stress bonus. And I use V1, because I thought that would be appropriate for a construct character. Yeah, so their entire idea is that they have a lot of stress, they have a lot of health. Like, these guys are probably the most raw ability-wise. The problem being is that when things do go wrong, it's going really wrong. Especially when it comes to things like their elements, which we'll get to in a second. Classes, nothing much changed. Nothing much changed here. Which brings me to the elements. Elements are based entirely off of Chinese internal... alchemy. Fun fact: it's the Chinese elemental zodiac. To get a very rough interpretation, fire are for very hard work and courageous. They throw themselves at problems. They are fire. They go fast and burn out faster. Earth are very consistent. They perform a good groundwork for people. People build on top of them. And they like that. However, they are kind of stuck in their ways, and they kind of feel that difficult to actually expand out of their natural little area. Metal are kind of the overly diligent kinds of people. They're hard-headed. They think of the job more than themselves or others. Someone who exemplifies metal is someone who is going to work 30 hours over the course, work overtime on the weekends for no additional pay because they just want to get the job done. Metal people clash really hard with people who kind of don't allow them to function that way. People who say, let's innovate, like, let's try something new, or let's do something else. They're like, no, please, not this shit again. Water, they're idea-driven and tend to be visionaries and adventurous souls. They like to try new things, but they always kind of keep to the path. Which brings me to wood. They grow slowly, they blossom when they have to, and they're very, I wouldn't say need-driven, but they are very validation-driven. They'll go 110% when they're getting something out of it, but if not, they don't really care. Finally, Arcane. Arcane is the odd one, because Arcane is not an element. However, they address that somewhat, and I kind of came up with the idea of Arcane are people who are weird. Arcane people are weird people. They are people outside the norm. They do their own thing. They are immensely independent. The problem is, they don't like each other. Really odd, mysterious people get along kind of with everyone except other odd and mysterious people. But those odd and mysterious people are also the only one. But they also find it incredibly... How do I want to word this? The only people they can really connect with are other people in Arcane. But they don't like other people in Arcane. That's kind of their biggest issue. They go very much back and forth. Now, how Elemental works is this. This is the Elemental system. Pretty much, if you feed or are fed by an element, anytime you get a bond with them, you're going to get +1 bond. So, metal up here, if they get a bond with someone who's water, they're going to get a +1 bond with them. So, pretty much like water guys and metal guys are going to get along just fine. Earth guys and metal guys are going to get along just fine. You're not going to get anything bonus for working with, wood or fire, though. That's kind of the biggest issue with that. You have 2 you work with, 2 you're not working with. However, each of them also has the destruction cycle, the red lines. If you have metal, and you use metal against something that's wood-aligned, you're going to do more damage to them. Where do I put that? Elements which destroy one another, naturally opposed to one another. They ignore all magical and physical defense the character may have. Which, as we said, if you use a metal spell on someone with wood, you're going to cleave through their defense. You're going to sever their defense really fast. So it's kind of a game of, okay, we have a fire guy, we have an earth guy, we have an arcane guy. We're going up against someone who uses water and wood. Like, okay, earth guy needs to deal with water guy. Water guy is going to want to target fire guy. None of us really do well against wood guy, though, so we're going to have to kind of rely on our metal guy to deal with him. Well, we don't really have a metal guy. We have to kind of let our arcane guy kind of deal with both of them. Mostly because arcane gets the benefit of both of these. They get better bonds with people who are arcane, but they also kind of ignore each other's defenses. It's mutually assured destruction among people who are arcane focused, which is the problem with them. In theory, you could add other elements to this chain, and if I were to believe Chinese internal alchemy, yeah, effectively Arcane hits itself with confusion. If you were to pretty much use internal alchemy, you could argue that you could put air like right here, or air to be like I would say somewhere in here you could put things like wind, because wind is not an element. Wind is not an element according to the Chinese. Wind kind of gets covered. Things like wind and stuff kind of get covered by fire and not fire and water, by kind of earth and water, kind of ironically. But these would be your core attribute. Like, you could probably fit in wind somewhere in here. If you want to put in like a light, it's mostly Chinese medicine, not really part of the elemental structure, the elemental zodiac. Air and wind kind of gets put into its own thing, which is weird. I think like the exact reason behind it is quite literally, if I remember correctly, air and wind are, since they are so prevalent everywhere, we can't really it does not destroy anything, but it doesn't grow anything. It's effectively arcane. That's how you would kind of put it in there. If you want to put in something like light and darkness, like if you want to do something like that, then I would also put those as kind of like their own separate thing over here, kind of like arcane, except the idea of light only likes dealing with people with light, darkness likes dealing with people from darkness. They hate each other. They will destroy one another. But yeah, that's kind of the basics of welcome to Notepad add-ons basics on Chinese elemental zodiac. On my next lesson, I'll be going over how to mix drinks. So, now last time on Dragon Ball Z, I said I'm going to do abilities next. I cannot. And I say I cannot do abilities for one reason. I need to get the combat system done. I need to get... When the combat system is done, that's the goal for today. I want to get combat done. Because if I can get combat done, then I can have the ideas of what these abilities actually do. Because I have the system in place. I know what kind of system I would want to do, and it's based off of let me see. You're gonna make me go to the library, aren't you? Zolder. And it's going to be based off of, but not directly taken from Deep Sea Endless Voyage. And the technique system I made in there. Where is the technique system? Yeah, there you go. Because pretty much how the technique system works is pretty simple. It's the idea that you are actively building your abilities. You would pretty much spend a section of points to add in an ability, and that's what you do. You're able to use that ability now. I'm going to have to expand this out a little bit, and I'm going to have to put in, and I'm also probably going to have to put in some things from Fists of Chaos. It's going to be kind of a mix of them together, I think. But I need to make sure combat works. If combat works, I'm good. I don't got to worry about it anymore. The only thing about the adventure section I put in, I have traveling. Traveling is pretty basic. If you are in a relatively hostile area, you're going to take -3 stress a day. And this is just hard, just working. It's a pain in the ass. You work all day, you do all, it's tough labor. If you can't pay, you take time to recuperate. You camp down, you settle down for a day or two just to relax. Build bonds, recuperate, prepare themselves for upcoming travel. It's basic stuff. Exceptionally hostile environments, it's 6 stress per day or 3 stress per hour. This is like Shadowland tier. This is Nightmareville. This is very bad places you don't want to be very much. This also brings me to home base. The way I saw the map, the way it kind of looked to me, you're either going to be in a vehicle, like an airship, because everyone has fucking airships apparently, or you're going to be in a caravan as listed here. This is official artwork, mind you, so I can only assume that RVs exist. Because, yeah, just get in the fucking car. Does that take something, a little bit of something out of the mystery of this fantasy setting when you can technically play a long-haul trucker? Maybe. It may take something out, but it also adds in something completely different. Cars. Yeah, the car doesn't have wheels, it floats. It does add cars, and cars bring an entirely different set of issues and problems to deal with, including the fact that you can get hit by a car, and I'm going to have to put that in for damage, aren't I? I'm going to need to show the fact that you can get hit by a car somewhere. Okay, that's going to go on a side note. Oh no, the main villain is here. Whatever we do, hit them with the RV. Let's see. Yeah, one of the big things too is your home base is important. Whether that is you're kind of hanging out on the super cool protagonist island, or you are, kind of set your own base up somewhere. This is important. This could even be your airship. The thing is, you can only level up if you are able to rest at your home base. If you are traveling, you aren't doing anything. You may you may build up this experience, but you can't really spend any of it. That's the drawback. Currency, it's kind of the exact same way. I learned about dragon shards, though. These are like the paid currency or the special currency. It comes from living people. Oh, living things. hit them with the truck and isekai them again. Yes, pretty much. That's the plan. This fucking isekai them. Truck con is technically a guy, don't worry. I mean, if you want to play a construct like that, that is possible, I guess. Question, Carter and friends, their home base will be their car because they don't have a home. Yes. Pretty much any place that you can kind of consider as your home base. That's why I put in the idea of like a roving caravan. Like if you have the party van where where like 3 to 4 of your friends hang out, you just hang out in your car, that's your home base. You might set it up and you might hold out for a bit, but that's home. You open up the party van and we go on magic adventures. Now, mind you, if you have like a fucking like Mini Cooper, I'm not gonna say your home base is gonna, like if a group came up to me and being like, Notepad, here's our home base, and you show me like a fucking Mini Cooper, I'm gonna throw it in your fucking face. I'm like, no, you're not doing that. If you show me like, here is our RV, I'm like, yeah, okay, the RV, you know, the battle wagon works. Go for it. You know, if you want to bring me even like your van, like it would have to be like a place that you guys can kind of live in to a degree. Like that's why like the airships, like it was kind of weird because like everybody has airships except when they don't have airships. So it's like if you guys get an airship, then yeah, that would be your home. If you only have like a fucking van to call home, yeah, that's home base. Which is important though. It's something that is special to you. So, okay, we've got all this done. Surprisingly, it's only 20 pages, but we haven't really hit the unfun part, which is... Alright. There we go. Battle Royale! So, actually, during their journey, the characters will inevitably come into conflict. No, it's just fighting. I just need to put in the fighting section. I don't really like calling it just combat. Like I just call it combat, but I've also called things like currency, barter, and value, home base, traveling. Let's put it back to something like, actually I probably could just call it, you know. The thing is, I don't want combat, like, here's the thing. Combat's going to be important. Like, that's something I have to always address. Combat is important. But I don't want it to be like, okay, it's now time for combat time. Like, I want people to kind of be like, oh no, we have to make decisions. It's not like, I actually wrote the script for a Mega Fantasy for that little opinion, actually, the other day. And that was one thing I actually noted in that script, where the entire game is built around combat, and if you don't do combat stuff, the game just doesn't work. There's no point for, like, 90% of the actual game. So it kind of forces you into that combat situation. Now, a lot of the derived attributes are combat focused or combat things. Yes, that's just something I have to deal with effectively. During their journey, the characters will inevitably come into conflict with entities. Actually, with individuals or monsters that wish them dead. The characters are forced into a battle for their lives, or to defend others, or to defend the innocent from harm. Even though if you're my players, it's most likely whoever pays them the most, because my players are psychopaths. I love them all to death, and I love all you guys. The characters are forced into battle to defend themselves. When combat begins, All characters are assigned an initiative value equal to their speed. During battle, their initiative can be. Let's see. When combat begins, all characters are assigned initiative value equal to their speed. This goes in descending order. This goes in descending order to determine the turn order. With the fastest character leaping into action quickly. Okay, so we've got the initiative. That's initiative. It's not going to be that exciting. I hate to break it to everybody. So, what we're going to need to do, actually, okay, I'm going to put this section in turn rounds, and moments. When initiative reaches a character, they will take their turn. They will take their turn, which allows them to take a series of actions. Which allows them to take a series of actions. That they have that they wish. Take a series of actions that they wish. When all characters in the fight have acted, the round concludes. Any effect that goes on a round by round basis begins and ends on the character's turn. So pretty much, let's say I'm on, for example, let's say I'm speed 12 and their speed 14, and let's say their speed 11, and I hit them with fire. Like they're burning now, and it's every round they're going to take some damage. When it's speed 12 again, pretty much when it's my turn to go again, that's when they're going to take the damage here. They're going to take the damage on my turn, not their turn. That should hopefully make things easy. That might get changed, I don't know. It's always awkward to do like on a round by round basis or things like that, because usually why I usually don't like to do just like at the top of the round moments, because if you do top of the round, suddenly the guy at speed 1, the guy going dead last, if he inflicts everyone with a dot effect, suddenly everyone's being affected with it the second the round begins again. That power is really valuable, rather than, okay, we've nuked him down, he's not going to obviously be able to do it, and like the next round his round hasn't begun yet, his turn, you could say. And on the character's turn. So finally, a character can take a moment, which is a small amount of time during the round. Can take a moment, which is a small amount of time a character can take. A small amount of time a character can take anywhere in the round to speak some words, have a moment, or make a flourish. Effectively, this is your free action. Everyone gets a free action. I'm just going to call it a moment. with the idea of you're taking a moment to do a thing. And you can use this to your advantage in some cases, such as there's a big thing like we've all escaped. Oh no, you're top of the initiative order, and you're at the bottom of the initiative order, and you're going to, going to get blasted, but you're on the ledge. I'm going to take a moment, take a step back. I'm going to fall off, and you guys save me. Cool, that's fine. Like that's what that is for. It's for the correction moment, you could say. I usually use moments in my games just slowly, just giving it a name finally. Then I can use it later if I want to. So, we have to do actions now. Now, I can either make this really simple or really complex, and I'm leaning towards simple just because how the game has been going. So, we can probably do 2 acts. 2 action. Okay, actually, I know what we can do. We can do a minor and major action. Okay. Every character when it is their turn, capitalize. Character when it is their turn will have the option of performing a minor and major action. Option performing a minor and major action. Minor actions are short and to the point. Actually, major and minor action in any order. So you don't have to just take a minor action, then a major action, but you can take your major, then your minor. This is to say, I can make an attack, I can kill an enemy, and then I can move somewhere, or I can attack an enemy. In any order, but not, quote, in the middle of an action. Not in the middle of an action. Footnote. I can't move half. I can't move half. Can't move half my movement. Attack, then move the rest. If you can move 4 spaces, you cannot move 2, attack, move 2 more to get away. That's not how that works. You move 2, that is your full action. That is your full minor action, you could say. But on the middle of any action, an action. Okay. Now, this isn't emulating the game 1-for-1, mostly because emulating the game would be a fool's errand because it is a turn-based strategy game. Turn-based action game, quote unquote, and that is just not how that game functions. Because, 1, we are not on a plane. We are not standing in a line opposite each other, twacking each other with sticks. That's just not how the game works. We are in, which is always this is always the fun part, and this is a little bit of a game design tangent with Notepad. One of the most interesting parts about adapting a game, such like a video game franchise, to the table is you remove the limitations of code. Gyee is a game that you can play on your phone, and if you want to do an attack, you tap the little attack button, you move over to the enemy, you tap the enemy, and then you do the attack. You're constrained by the code. In the table, you aren't. I don't have to just use like I'm going to attack someone, I'm going to do that. No. Oh no, there's a gangster trying to, with a knife, and he's going to stab me. Okay, there's a brick nearby. I'm going to grab the brick and clock it over his fucking head. Oh no, I don't really want to hurt the guy. I'm going to kick him in the face. However, you also have some other aspects which are a little bit more complex to deal with, which is the idea of, three-dimensional movement. Okay, you're attacking someone from up high. What are you doing? Well, I'm going to hit them with my stick. Okay, that's not how that works. You are too far away from them. Your stick isn't that big. Yeah, sorry, kids, your rod isn't that big. I'm actually 12. I hate to break it to everybody. I'm secretly underage. Yeah, no, sorry, someone pinged me on something. It was like, wait a fucking second. My friends always send me weird shit, and I read it because it's a ping, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's something important. And no, it's like my friends sending me like fucking Isabella porn or something. It's like, no, why? Why are you the way that you are? That are sending me something with Gura related to it. And then my friend is a Gura fan, I've learned. And am I saying he is a cute? Am I saying my friend is a cute and funny enthusiast? I don't know. I don't know if he is. I'm getting the feeling that he is, though. Because he keeps sending me this character every now and again. He keeps trying to get me to play Genshin Impact, and he keeps sending me this character in particular. I don't know why. I'm getting worried, guys. Like, really worried. And I'm like, wait a second. Wait a moment. Wait a goddamn. Wait the fuck up. Wake the fuck up, samurai. We got a city to burn. Yeah, pretty much, like... let's see. Major action, but not in the middle of an action. Now we get to do a fun game where I get to... What other game do I use this system in? Fuck. Do I use it in... Where is it? I'm like 95% sure I use it in this game. Yes, I do. Okay. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. So what I can do. Okay, so my interactions. We're pretty much gonna be maintaining roughly the same idea for the minor actions. So we're gonna have brace. An attack. They increase their physical increase their physical protection by their, it would be not vitality, would it? It would be, yeah, by their endurance. So pretty much you can just double your physical protection. Not going to be very useful if you don't have that. So we'll do catch breath. Increases their initiative by +1. Yeah, it would be increases their initiative by their dex. Yeah, my friend has like made suggestions that like, hey, you should totally play Genshin with me, and like, I don't know. I don't want to go to the 4chan party van. I'm being frank with you. Like the 4chan party van, I'm kind of freaked out about. Like I'm not really into that kind of stuff. And they're like, choo choo, get on, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. I'm like, I don't know. So dash, so see, if I do ever play Genshin Impact, I'm just gonna play the Maxor way and just play a fanatic misandrist. Not misandrist. It's what's the correct, not misandrist. Yeah, misandrist, yeah. Which I will just there will be no men in my Genshin Impact game. Because if I'm playing the Genshin Impact RPG, I am not playing it for boys. I'm playing it for women. I have read the lore books. I understand the deep and intricate lore of the one witch girl. That's all I know. I know the witch girls. That's it. And damn. That's some deep lore if you catch my drift there, boys. Yuck. Alright. Let's see. Catch breath. Dash. The character... Okay, the character moves 3... I want to do spaces or tiles. I'm going to go with space. Moves 3 spaces in any direction. Simple strike. The character makes a quick swipe at their opponent. Actually makes a quick attack. You can actually call that. Let's call it quick attack. Fuck it. Quick attack. The character makes a simple attack at a target. If they hit the target's block, if they hit the target's block, they will deal. If we want to do attribute damage, it would be just. Yeah, it'd be P attack. They'll do physical attack and damage. Just whatever your physical attack is. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, mind you, quick attack is quite literally me going up there and punching you in the face really fast, or me like hitting you with my sword really quick. It's not really like a super dedicated attack, but that's not the point of it. And actually, we can do use small equipment. The character uses a small piece of equipment. Potion, small item, etc. Actually, on their person. There we go. Now, no, we don't want to do that. What I am going to do, though, is we need to focus on because there's 2 actions in here that there's 2 things we haven't really dealt with yet, and I need to deal with right now. We want to use the hype up action. The character hypes themselves up. They roll their strength. Plus, it would be strength plus vitality. So you can roll a decent amount of the strength plus vitality at target number. We'll call it target TN6. For every success, they gain +1 rage. Pretty much hype up is pretty damn useless if you don't have rage. That's the point. The other one, concentration by their dex. I will do restore. I don't know how I want to do concentration yet, because concentration is odd. Because if you go to concentration, concentration, Gyee, not concentration camps. Oh no. Because it's like you get things like this, like oh wow, look, it's like making choices. Yeah, that's definitely it. Or the Rangers use concentration. However, it's like, okay, using this when taunted, he gains +1 extra point of concentration. Alright, simple enough. Extra concentration. Consumes all extra concentration. So it's almost like, I don't want to word this. It's almost like concentration is a thing that is built up and expended rather than something that is consumed. So it's kind of that like back and forth, like what's the best way of looking at it. And I read one character, you don't like, you get concentration, like it's, you get concentration, but if you don't have concentration, you have another thing. Like, what was it? Like focus or something? I don't know. You guys play the game. I don't. So, probably, yeah, mix of mana plus focus. So, probably it's going to be something along the line of... concentration is probably going to be something that you build up. You build concentration, and then you expel concentration to do something. Ray, yeah, with... Oh, Jesus. Oh, sweet Jesus. Because rage, you know, you pretty much what you do with rage is that you build rage, expel rage. Mana is, it's pretty much, mana is just spend mana. Is just spend mana. Like that's just mana in a nutshell. You just spend it. Hmm. So I'm trying to think of like the best way to kind of separate concentration out. To make it a little bit more unique to its own thing, rather than rage being like, just get a shit ton of rage and start hitting like a fucking freight train. Actually, yeah, so we can just build concentration. You want to build concentration, but you want to also keep concentration. Yeah, no, we can do that. Like, so the idea would be this. With rage, you want to build your rage up. Rage to smack people. That's kind of the idea. And how we're going to build rage, and rage is probably going to be something along the lines of... Oh god, that's messy. That's really messy. So pretty much with rage is rage is pretty much just going to be equal to your damage dealt. You want to rush in there and you want to bash as many people's skull in, because that's what how you're gonna build rage. The more rage you have, the more you can just burn your rage out. And you want as much rage as possible because and we can then make it so like a lot of rage abilities can just expel rage to do something. Yeah, actually damage dealt plus damage taken. That could actually work. Yeah, okay, so mana's pretty simple. Like, mana's pretty simple. Mana is just you have a set of mana. Once you use it, it's gone, but it'll restore. We can probably... Actually, that would be actually a good ability we could do. We can do something like refocus. The character refocuses themselves. Focuses themselves and their flux. They regain. Well, instead of 100 mana, instead of 150 rage, it's going to be 10 mana. It's going to be 15 rage. Mostly because I don't think anyone wants to say, oh, yeah, I use 74 mana to spend a spell. No. We're on the table. We can't afford that. If that was a dedicated system, if that was like what the entire point of the game was supposed to be, then I would. But this is a big game. So I can't really afford that, if you know what I'm talking about. So refocuses themselves in their flux. They regain 3 mana. Concentration. What's concentration's gimmick? So concentration's gimmick is going to be kind of as it says. Concentration, you want to focus on particular threats. You want to focus on particular threats. The higher your focus, the higher your concentration, the more your abilities are going to do. But break concentration when yeah, we can use that as kind of like a combo. We can actually, okay, you can use that more as like a combo mechanic. But the idea is that if you are constantly doing, constantly attacking the same target, using abilities, etc., you're pretty much keeping your concentration. However, if you're ever kind of knocked out of it, you're ever forced to like improvise and you're not really concentrating, then you can do it like that. So the idea would mostly be with concentration, it's your combo mechanic. The more concentration you build, the better you're going to have. The cost being, if you ever shift targets, if you ever kind of break your if you're ever doing something to break your combo, that's when things start going wrong. You're going to break your concentration. Once your concentration is broken, it's bad. Like, you're not going to have a fun time. So what we can actually do is we can do the envision. The character envisions the plan ahead. They gain +1 concentration. I'm going to actually make a suggestion that people use tokens or something for this. In fact, I'm usually not a fan of doing that, but there's a lot to keep track of here. Because pretty much there's going to be 3 different fucking bars to manage in some cases. If it was just one, I could make it work. Or if I just use them all to just do the same thing. But if I do that, then they kind of lose some of the flavor in it. So yeah, concentration's going to be pretty easy. Rage is going to be pretty easy. Concentration's the only real weird one. But it's mostly just maintain your fucking combo, dumbass. While mana is a lot about mana's management. Just make sure you actually have pen and papers for that. Yeah, I usually try to avoid that because I personally and my players personally hate having to like just keep track of little minute numbers. That's why I actually don't usually put in like things like mana systems or anything like that, just because of that. But you are right. You can just kind of keep track of that. Erase, add it back, or erase, do it again. So okay. So we've got all this. So let's do the major actions now. Major actions actually have. Get shit out of myself there for a second. Oh god. Okay. Major actions. Actually, what I should do. Certain actions. Certain actions, a character can consume both their minor and major action to perform a special move. all that here. So one thing we don't need, we do not actually need cast a spell. Cast spell is not a thing. Defend exclusively on defense. Okay, so what needs changing here? Ability and tool in their possession, that's fine. That's perfectly reasonable to have. Okay, opponents tend to strike an opponent, so we need to change this aspect pretty badly. So we need to do attack the character. To strike an opponent. Then range. And rolls their attack against the opponent. The opponent's actually. No. Okay, we want to do. I need to make this right. We need to do a physical attack. A physical attack. The character. So, character attempts to strike an opponent. An opponent within range with a physical weapon. With a physical attack. Rolling dex or strength against the opponent, against the target's block. Against target's block. If successful, they will deal their P attack. They'll deal their P attack plus weapon plus do over successes. Is that a good idea? They'll do their P attack plus their weapon plus excess successes. It's your homie. There's nothing gay about it. So pretty much this would be, for example, they have a block of 2. I just need a 6 up to hit them. That's just what it is. Just 6 up to hit them. 50-50 with your dice. And I roll 4 successes. And my P attack, let's just say my P attack is 3. My weapon is 4. And my weapon is 4. So I would do 7. I would do 3 plus 4 plus 2. Well, 2 damage. I would do a grand total of 9 damage to them. Not a lot, but again, this is not the main way you're actually going to be doing a lot of damage. Like, this is kind of like a... This is here for a reason, because you need to have it here. This is me punching you in the face because it's the best option for me to do. This is me hurting you to do something else. Mostly because you can do things like discontinuous actions. The most big damage you're going to be doing is going to come mostly from your abilities. That's where a lot of your damage is going to have to come from. Oh, God. Thirsty fucking sword lesbian. Blah. D6 to their attack. Actually, we want to do... I know too much about TSL at this point. No. Not more. The character adds +1 act. TSL, like, I can do like a very long conversation about TSL in a few different ways. Mostly because that video is hysterical at this point. Because out of like all its views, I don't think like a vast majority of them actually watched the video and like what I was saying in it. Because what I effectively said was, this game really doesn't do anything. Like, the grand thing about TSL at the end of the day is that the game does absolutely nothing unique, but claims it is unique, and then wants you to buy it. It has no personality. It has zero personality. It's not supposed to have personality. It's supposed to sell you something. That's why I go over the settings so much. It's like, like, why? There's no reason. Swing at their melee weapon. With their melee weapon, they will deal their P attack. Their P attack times 2. They'll do, actually, their physical attack times 2 plus weapon plus excess successes. Melee Surge. The character rolls total amount of time equal to the ref score. If the character misses any attack, actually, I don't think we can add really in. Surge locks down area. If an enemy moves through the area, the character automatically makes an attack. If the target is hit, they stop moving. So now we need to add in a different one, which we're going to call the magical attack. The character focuses a blast of magic, a blast of flux energy, at a target, target within there. It would be their intelligence. It's in their intelligence spaces. Within int spaces. They roll int spaces, comma, rolling int again, rolling int for the number of successes. If successful, actually, rolling in for a number of successes and expending mana equal to and expending at least one mana. The target will take M attack. We'll take M attack plus mana spent, plus mana spent plus excess successes in damage. So pretty much what this is going to be, if you have this ability, the idea is going to be, I am going to just blast you with power. It's going to be have no effect or anything. Now, if your magic attack is, let's say your int is like 3. Let's say let's be conservative. Let's say your int is 6, and you spend 1 mana. Like, at minimum, you're going to be rolling about 7 damage against them. But you can also have a character whose magic defense is like 14. Where they're like, yeah, good, that's funny. That's hysterical that you hit me with this. You know, you hit me dead on with this ability. Congratulations, you've done no fucking damage. Which is, I'm going to put in 1, which is we're going to do elemental flux. The character infuses their attack with their element. With their element. Calculate with their element. They have with their element. So pretty much you have to burn your major and your minor to actually make this like an elemental attack, which could be useful. If you're fighting someone who is kind of your polar opposite elementally, you blast them with this, you ignore all their armor, which can be a lot of fucking damage if you know what you're doing, but you're kind of expending power to do it, kind of thing. Yeah, like you can. Yeah, like that's kind of the. You can blast people with magic. Magic is great to blast people with. However, however, magic is also like just direct magical attacks can be kind of a bad thing if you aren't ready for it. So, and the thing is, you have to have mana for this particular ability. This is really only for mages and supports to do this. But if you're a support, you probably don't want to be wasting your mana doing this shit. And if you're a mage, you probably have better abilities to be doing this. This is kind of your like, ah, fuck ability. Actually, for a number of successes and expending any mana they wish. So I'm gonna put that. So this is pretty much so a character is not like perpetually just weak if they just spec into magic. It's like, oh well, I have no mana, but I don't really want to just focus all the time, get all my mana back. You have a gun in hand in case things get wickety whack. What would be another one that would be good? We could probably do Flux Stack. Actually, I know we can do Twin Link. Twin Link. The character splits the damage. Actually, the character splits the damage in half. Actually, the character targets two targets within range instead of just one. But again, you're expending the ability to do any of these things, which are actually really useful. You want to do them because they will save your life, because dying hurts. Remember, kids, dying sucks. I will also fix these to make sure they're all like nice and alphabetical later. I just want to get them down on paper right now. Let's see, we've got defend, we've got magical attack. Do you want to really do defending? Is defending really that important? This is going to be important for, again, exclusively on defense. They add +2. They add +2 block. This is a major action. This is you. I don't want to get hit. They add +2 block. Shield. Don't really gotta worry about shield. I know what I want to do. Dives away from danger. We want to steal away from the target without suffering an attack of opportunity. But it's without being targeted for an attack or a reprisal attack, comma, but is considered to be on the ground. Parry strike raises themselves to parry. They do not gain the if the opponent fails to strike the character's block, the character may make a free, what we call this is, we're going to make a free quick attack. If you want to build an entire character around just parry striking your enemy to death, do it. Fucking do it. I got nothing against it. Making it shields, armor is damaged, defend action is still active. Like, I like having things like parry striking because it gives some characters some more options as well as how they want to build themselves. If you're a tank, for example, do that. Honestly, if you want to play a character like Ranmaru, for example, otherwise known as the man who T-poses everywhere because his muscles have muscles, do that. Parry strike. Pretty much put up your fucking sword and be like, come and hit me, and you have big-ass block already. If they can't hit you, you get to bash them over the head and build more rage for free. And you get to do that to everybody. Like, parry tanks are incredibly, they work. They do work. Just don't go against someone who can beat your block readily. Reduce their initiative value, their current initiative 0. Keep this they keep this initiative until they how do we want to do this? until they ready up. Maneuver attempts to actively change their position. The character may move up to 6 spaces in any direction. Perform technique. Let's see. Use ability. The character uses an ability they have access to. They have resolving its effects, and paying the cost. Let's see. We want to do. This is going to be ready up. Actually, we can probably do. Yeah, we'll do ready up. The character takes a breather and refocus. Let's see. They reset their initiative. Initiative to their speed. To their speed value. And restore to their speed value. And regain all mana. Lose all rage and concentration. So ready is really good if you are a caster. Really bad if you aren't. So that's kind of your thing there, being like, if you're feeling confident, you can do it to get rid of some of the issues that you're facing, but don't rely on it. Parry strike and an opportunity attack. I'm gonna have to go over opportunity attacks a little bit more. But the idea is, I'm trying to move away from someone and who are in an adjacent hex. They're going to get an opportunity attack. They're going to be able to bash me over the head with a quick attack. Parry strike, the idea is pretty much, if you roll to attack me and you fail, I'm going to hit you. And this goes for everybody who attempts to attack you and fails to hit you. Which means that you can do quite a bit of damage. It's a little different, not a big difference, but it's the difference between effectively opportunity attacks of running away and just running away, or parry striking, which is everyone currently in combat with you. Same idea, different execution, different triggers, you could say. So this should summarize combat fairly well. Now, the idea, here comes Notepad's brilliant idea when it comes to abilities. Most abilities, like let's say it's like a basic ability, is pretty much going to be choose an action. That's what you're going to do. First things first, you're going to choose an action, what you want to do, and then you're going to add a bunch of things to it. So let's just say, for example, I want to do a we'll let's make a basic proof of concept ability. That proof of concept ability is going to be a quick attack. Like, I just want to make a really fast quick attack. Now, I'm going to add like an elemental attack to it. It's going to be my element. Let's say I'm a fire. Right off the bat, I use this, I'm going to do a quick attack. Not a huge thing, but this is going to be, let's say, like cheaper to actually build. Because we have a certain amount of ability points to spend at COT. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. So, automatically I have an elemental attack. And then I'm going to say I'm going to boost the damage up by 2. It's going to be plus 2 damage right off the bat. And I also want to, do a, let's say I'm playing a warrior, for example. And then I'm going to say, it's going to be raging. It's going to actually, we'll call it a raging ability, which I'm just going to add plus 1 damage per my rage. So, this is my proof of concept warrior ability. I can say, I'm going to use an ability. I'm going to use the quick attack action. I'm going to have to trigger this down here. I'm going to use an ability. I'm going to use the quick attack action. However, it's going to do elemental damage. It's going to do an elemental attack. It's going to do plus 2 damage on top of everything. Let's say I have 3 additional rage. I'm going to do plus 3 damage with it. Mostly because physical attacks do everything. You don't really do that much with here. You just hit. You just hit and do whatever your physical attack is. But if you are, say, a fist fighter, this is pretty fucking good. Because it's the idea of, hey, well, I'm going to do this quick attack that just does my P attack. And I've already built it up. There's a chance that you're going to do +5 damage right off the bat. That's pretty easy to pull off and pretty cheap too. Because the idea is you are going to have to spend... Let me scroll all the way back up to them. You're going to be spending these. You're going to be spending kind of your starting ability points to build your initial abilities. And I'm going to have to drip feed them to you with level ups, because we're going to have to use a level up system in this game. That's where kind of like warriors and like this is where things get a little bit messy in here. Like this was kind of the idea here. It was like the idea of like you got to build your weapon looks like. You got to build this. This gets hard because that system, all those ability points also have to accommodate the fact that I need to say, oh, well, my basic weapon, my weapon is a great weapon that does +3 damage, and it's I don't know, it has the gory tag, and it's also I don't know what's a really stupid idea that I can bring up to. Oh yeah, it switches. Obviously, it has a switch to it, and the switch just makes it +6 damage if I want to, but I have to trigger it to do that. Ta-da! Do you like building weapons? Yeah, I need to do this because some fucking idiot decided to give some character a fucking chainsaw in this world. Like, half the weapons in this goddamn setting are insane, and I can't use half of them. Like, in any other traditional world, I would, like, this kills me on the inside to even attempt to even think about using. Because it's like, alright, okay, Catherine, what's Catherine's weapon, everybody? Well, Catherine uses a sword. Alright, well, the Iron Tongue, but she uses a sword. Like, alright, this makes sense. Catherine, crazy girl, uses a sword. Like, alright. Simple enough to work with. Alright, alright, Grancy. Grancy, what do you use for a weapon? Oh, well, of course you use a giant spear. Alright, a giant flaming spear, no less. Alright. Okay, we're making progress. Alright. Okay, we need something simple. Let's give Kitty, my mage friend. What's my mage friend using? Oh, floating cat paws. Because he's a cat. Where's the one that uses something completely fucking stupid? And I looked at it and died a little on the inside. Nico has a pretty bad one. I remember that. Nico killed me internally. Definitely. Where was that other one? Oh, Sig is pretty bad. So, what does Sig use? Well, Sig uses a hammer. He uses a big-ass hammer. Unless he uses summer skin, and then he uses a fish. And then it's like, this is a laser ball. This is literally a laser maul that he uses to beat you with. One guy has a chainsaw, man. Well, there's someone has a gun. Oh, what does Yane use? What is this little child who people have asked me, what is Yane's thing? I'm just like, candy, because that's her entire character. Guess what? She uses candy. She uses candy to fight. She kills you with candy. And she's 10. Why is she 10? Who knows? That one threw me for, like, there's a few characters in here that like oh god, like what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? When they're using their weapons, like what is this? What kind of Naruto bullshit is going on here? I'm like, all right, I can deal with this. You just punch. You just punch people. That's all you do. Where was the one with the gun? Like that's the one that I always love. It's like he has a gun. Like Choji here, Choji, our big fat loser of a friend, he uses his metal pan to beat you to death with. All right, Pan, Brian, my boy, Brian, what do you use? Oh, well, of course. Brian uses a gun, a laser cannon. What's I? Let me see. We want to R. Where's R? And Ranmaru is pretty bad. Yeah, Rambo. He just doesn't even fight. He uses just whatever the fuck this is. Like, I think you're kind of getting the idea. Is like you need to build a weapon system around the fact that you can have a man with effectively fucking sniper rifle, as well as what's your ability? Birds. I use birds. Well, what does Mercy use? Come on, Mercy's got to use something. She's a support. Oh wait, she uses. Mercy here uses the Bill Gates vaccine against her enemies. She gives you autism, mostly because she's a woman. We don't like women in this game. Go away, woman. No one likes you. We are here for big, thick, sexy men, not big. We're not women. We're not here for the women. Like, let's be fucking frank with ourselves here. Like, you're not playing Gyee the game for her. You're playing it for Bernard here, who at least has punching weapons. But again, we have to remember Bernard is in like the same world where a man with a gun exists. And anytime you have man with a gun, you're gonna lose. This man just has a fucking deagle. He has a deagle. Why does he have a deagle? Antonio Banderas here. Blood Skull. Ah, yes, Blood Skull. Let's go down to your skins. What the most important part of the... Ah, yes, of course. You and your ridiculously tiny head. Look how tiny his head is compared to his fucking body, man. Jesus Christmas Christ. This is, my friends, is what we deal with here in Gyee, the tabletop role-playing game. Because I need to make sure every single one of those weapons is valid for you to play. Because if we don't make them valid, what are we doing with our lives? I know, I'm losing my fucking mind here. But that's why we love it here. I should also point that up. So, let's see where we are. We've got most of the combat. The combat isn't going to be the complicated part. Combat was never the complicated part. It does get me... What I need to do is battlefield. That reminds me. So we have to do battlefield movement. Actually, the field of battle. When the character spell. Excuse me, Mom. Engage in a fight. They engage in a pitched battle. In a pitched battle, they will enter a battlefield. Battlefield divided into a series of hexes. It's the gay going into your body, Notepad. My friend, I'm seeing things you wouldn't believe. The characters engage in pitched battle. They will enter a battlefield divided into a series of hexes. With each of these hexes being referred to as quote spaces. Actually, a series of spaces. That are hexes for the characters to occupy. Actually, too small. Yeah. I don't want more of those. No. I'll put that as a side note, being like, who occupies what? So after placing down where hello car in my fucking parking lot, could probably get broken into again. After placing down where they will begin, the characters are free to move about the map, in any method they wish. Blah. Characters are free to move about the map in any method they wish, allowing them to outflank, outmaneuver, and deal with their foes, and battle their foes. So what we're going to do is, when a character is adjacent to a hostile creature, into a hostile, they are considered to be engaged in combat. While engaged, neither side can move away from the target, but may circle them. With the idea being that what's the best way of doing this? Okay, I know the janky way of doing it, and therefore that's the way we're going to do it. Ha ha ha. Wait 1 second as I bring up the jankiest method possible. Because it's easier to... The thing is, it's a lot easier for me to go over this kind of go over it this way rather than try to just explain it. So we'll do like a 50. Instead of left, we'll do center. So we want to go here. We want to do a new window capture. Yes. There we go. So this is paint. Put paint right down here. So let's say we are right here. Actually, we'll make a little X to where we are. Actually, no, we need to. Let's say this is this is our enemy. And this is us. Yeah, we're following along. So, oh god. God fucking damn it. I keep clicking on the wrong goddamn thing. So, this is us. This is our enemy right here. We, as these guys, can move around kind of like this. We can move into any of these spaces. They, on the other hand, god damn it, if I can click on the right goddamn thing. So we can move, god damn it. We can move like this. They, on the other hand, can move like this without provoking that kind of attack of opportunity. This shouldn't allow people to have movement without just being permanently locked into combat with each other. This kind of situation occurs a lot in things like D&D, where it's like, oh, well, I'm like just permanently kind of stuck in combat with you and we're not moving anywhere. So in theory, what'll occur is if I move here, for example, like I move up here. Now they, if I select them, can move up here. Like we're kind of shifting the fight a little bit as we move around, which I think is cool. I've seen it work before, and it gives people a little bit more dynamic combat because people are shifting around. They're trying to get around one another. They're moving, and they're allowed to do that. Squares disallow that. That's the thing. Mostly because squares and diagonal movement gets a little bit hinky. And it gets hinky mostly because a diagonal movement on a square does not count, technically, as it should. Something is very wrong there. So, characters hostile, they're considered engaging hot while engaging, the side can move away. It may enter any space, but may move to any space surrounding them, suggesting they do not move through. Not move through or out of their range. If the character chooses to try and leave the engagement, the enemy may make a quick attack against them. If successful, actually, if the character is successfully hit, and dealt damage, that's going to be a big note there. Successfully hit and dealt damage, they do not move. That's the big thing. You aren't moving if you try to leave. Like, you're stuck there. However, this little note right here will help people like tanks who maybe want to like just get jacked and just have a shit ton of health and just never die. And just like really high endurance where it's like, I'm gonna hit you, and you get hit and it's like, congrats, you did 4 damage. I have like 12 physical resistance. I'm physically not being hurt by you. I'm leaving now. But that's mostly to keep people who are kind of fragile. When they get into melee combat, they're not having a good time. They need to get out of that right away, or they need to find a way to get out of there. But they also don't really. There's no. Pretty much, you can use magic and you can use shit like that while in melee combat. It's only trying to escape doing that, and I think that's just a little bit more diverse. It gives people a little bit more options, and I think that's important. Okay, so what other important aspects about moves do we need to know? Okay. I'm going to put a few side... okay. So I think that's the basics of it. When you're adjacent to hard targets, that happens. Okay, actually. Certain spaces may be considered dangerous. Actually, may be considered... actually, how do I want to... Not dangerous. Dangerous, I want to do the second one. It's, not uneven. Hard, even, uneven, awkward, weird. We'll go considered dangerous or hazardous. We'll go with dangerous or hazardous. Dangerous hexes, dangerous spaces. Dangerous hexes take twice. Take 2 movement. Take 2 movement to cross. To cross successfully. But if a character is forced into the hex, or ends their movement forced into the space. But if I can actually fucking spell but if a character is forced into the space or ends their movement on one, they take we'll just say a flat, like, hold on, they take 6 damage from the irregular from the irregular terrain. Now, dangerous spaces are things like they're awkward spaces that make things complicated for you to actually know. iPhone. If character is forced into a space and ends their movement on one, they take 6 damage. They take 6 HP or stress, representing them struggling to keep steady footing, or themselves safe. We're crossing a bunch of beams. Like, well, let's say, for example, here's a good example. Actually, let's say we're crossing a bunch of beams. Like, we're fighting up high. We're really kind of moving along these really awkward beams. Taking a step on these things, it requires a lot of concentration. So if you're kind of moving along them, so if you're getting shoved on, it's like you trying to hold your own, you're trying to hold your spaces, you're stressing the fuck out. Because you like one slip and your ass is going ass over tea kettle. You're not having a good time, so you kind of want to take your time on it. These are things like the floor is naturally hot. There's a river, like there's a kind of a pond or stream there that's making it awkward to move around. Don't be in these hexes. They won't kill you. The thing is, they won't kill you, but they are going to make your life not very fun. Give me 1 second. Nope, didn't mean to type that. For those who don't know, I'm texting my mom real fast. Representing them, struggling to keep sure footing on themselves safe. So, hazardous spaces are incredible. We'll call them regular spaces. That's a good idea. Regular space, 2 minutes cross. Hazardous spaces are dangerous to cross. Anytime a character is forced to walk on them, not only do they take 3 movement, they also will deal 4 damage or stress. 4 damage or stress. Comma. If a character is forced onto one, or ends their turn, or ends their movement, they will take 12 HP or stress. It hurts. Yeah, you don't want to be on hazardous terrain. Like, that's just step 1. Don't be on hazardous terrain. Step 2, avoid hazardous terrain. You could probably add in a few more options here, but I don't really know what else to add. Most other things you can kind of put in yourself, if that makes sense. Like, hey, I want to put in like blank spaces where there is nothing. Yeah, put it in there. Go for it. I will probably put in a map here just to kind of give an example of like what a fight might look like. You know, kind of a basic idea right here. I can draw that up really fast. It takes me like 5 seconds. I am going to put in 2 side notes though. So side note, vertical movement. If a character wishes to go vertical, or has some sort of flight, each area is each battle map is considered to have quote vertical spaces which count as movement. Which count as movement to climb. For example, to climb over a shelf. For example, to climb over a trench, it would be one movement. It would be one movement to climb, and a second to move onto the tile, to move onto the space in front of it. So pretty much you effectively need 2 movement to climb over something. But that also does mean characters have a small expectation to have a relatively decent vertical. Meaning they can go up one space without problem, and two spaces. And actually, okay, now this is me thinking real fast. This is notepad thinking. We can assume a space isn't very tall. Like, it wouldn't be very tall. We'll say it's about up to me. So let's say I'm 6'2". I'll say it's about 5 foot. It's kind of like that. It's like a dedicated thing you have to do. Can a person be expected to kind of get over to be able to climb over something? How? This is the kind of the autism I have to deal with. 20 inches. So if you do 20 inches, that means you're about a foot up. Like this is like a full vertical jump. It's about a foot. So no, you'd be able to do one. You'd be able to do one consistently, yeah. Small 2 relatively, meaning they can go up one space without assistance. If a character is assisting with raising others, they may ignore the quote space cost, the movement cost. They may ignore the movement cost of going upward. So, for example, if someone is like deliberately like kind of like leaning over, being like to help people up, those people don't have to pay the movement cost to go up. They kind of have a step to help them go up. That other guy would have to pay 2 movement to get up. Everyone else pay 1. That's kind of how I would assume. So you can kind of leapfrog over people. Which gives me to the second side note. So side note Side note, space occupation. Space occupation. Characters are humanoid. Actually, let's see. Humanoids are considered actually all creatures, creatures have a size ranging from small to gargantuan. Small creatures, cats, rabbits, etc. The basic tiny ass creatures. Small creatures can occupy the same hex as another medium creature, or 3 small creatures. So pretty much you can have 3 small creatures kind of like in a triangle formation around a space, or you can have a medium creature and them, which kind of means that a medium creature is roughly worth 2 small creatures. I know that's not quite accurate, but it works. Let's see. Medium creatures, humanoids. Medium creatures occupy 1 space. Occupy 1 space. Huge creatures occupy 2 to 3 spaces, and gargantuan creatures occupy 4 to 8 spaces. And that's like a big fucking that's a car kind of thing. This is a van kind of thing. This is a big ass creature that you're dealing with for gargantuan. It's kind of a play it by ear what these are. I don't want to give you strict numbers here because that's kind of boring to me. And you know what you want to do. That's always my thing. Actually, so roughly speaking, each hex is about 5 feet. 5 feet to meters. About 2 meters. Yeah, that works. Be 1 meter or 2 meters? I think 2 meters would be more accurate, right? Actually. Sorry, I was actually talking to my friend the other day about this, being like, fundamentally I'm going to have to use fucking metrics for this. I'm trying to find a good idea for this. So, actually, I'll ask. No, I'll ask the consortium. I trust all these fuck ups. Consortium here. If an individual hex or square is roughly 5 feet across, actually, I know what I'll do. Europeans and South Americans who use the metric system. What size would a traditional, let's say, quote, 5 foot square, 5 foot square, square / hex be in metric? What? Yep. Would you want 2 meters? 2 meters, about 6.5 feet. Or 1 or 1 meter across, which is about 3.5 feet. Yeah, I don't want to do 1.5 meters across. That seems really awkward. Like, yeah, it's it's 1.5 meters across. That sounds like it's converting over. I think the best way to say it, that's converting 5 feet over. Oh God. It just feels really awkward. One 1.5 or 2 meter squares are good, but 1 meter squares can also work. God fucking damn it. God, you guys are no fucking help. So yeah, like, I want to get people's opinion on this. Because this is actually a question I was going to pose to people, actually. Because it's kind of a weird thing. This is a really weird thing that I wanted to actually ask people about, and I wanted to get a good opinion on it. Yeah, everybody who plays D&D's go with feet, though. Yeah, because it's an American thing. Like, if a game was built in a foreign country, what would they use for that thing? You know, excluding D&D 5-foot squares and all that, what would it be? Because half of me would say you'd want to have more. 2 meters across. A good solid 2 meters. About 6.5 feet. Another half of me would say about 1 meter across. Because 1 meter is about that. I don't think people would say, oh, 1.5 meters. I don't think people would say that. That would be kind of the odd thing. Like, and the reason why people would say it's just 1.5 is because we said it was 5 feet on European RPGs and check it out. The issue with that is that a lot of them are based on, a lot of those are based off of other games, and even things like Dark Eye, the German game. Dark Eye I don't even think uses movement properly. I think it uses, Dark Eye uses space, like it uses kind of its own abstract version. Tormenta is Brazilian, we use meters. Yes, but Tormenta is based entirely off of an American game. Don't you tell me it's not, though. Oh, no. So yeah, we'll go with 1.5 for now. I think just for ease, for sake of ease. We will go with 1.5 just to satisfy people. Roughly speaking, it's about 1.5 meters. Roughly speaking, each hex is about 1.5 meters, allowing people to occupy it well. If the GM and players wish to use square grids, roughly everything stays the same. But make sure to include horizontal movement. Horizontal movement. I'm a strict believer in horizontal movement when it comes to squares, because I think that's just the way I like to do it. I've always been that kind of way. People get really anal about that. I could see it like in video games, but as we were kind of talking about earlier, video games have code. And there's like a dedicated way of doing things. However, tabletop games don't have that, and we aren't really slaves to that. And I think that's kind of a thing that we've kind of been stuck with doing that for a while now. So it's something that I like to always address. If I remember correctly, Tormenta is Tormenta is 3.5, I believe. It's like 40 plus 3.5. One of the Brazilians I know actually told me like the full story about it. It wasn't any of you guys. This was Sleeps and Bada. Brazilian games are fascinating though. Brazilian games are really fascinating though, just because kind of the story behind them. And I would like to cover Brazilian games. Just like have like a dedicated time, like we're going over Brazilian games, and that would be a fun stream. That would be a fun stream, I think, to do. But problem with most, yeah, pretty much time to learn Portuguese, fuck boy. That's kind of the issue with a lot of foreign games. I would love to do a lot more foreign games, but the problem is they're foreign games. And Notepad speaks American. I speak God's language, English. I do not speak the godless heathenic language of Portuguese or any of those other languages. I don't speak that. I speak English. So, okay, so we've done pretty good. We got combat done. We've got a lot of things done, actually. So, what I am going to do, here's the thing. Actually, I don't really need to worry about that. Don't really need to worry about that either. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the most basic concepts of abilities done. That's my goal. I'm going to get the basic concepts of abilities done, just so people have a good idea of like how they work. And then probably on Monday, I will dedicate pretty much the entire day to working on abilities. That's going to be it. Like, I spent 2 hours doing combat. We do 2 hours worth of combat for this. We're going to do all the abilities. We're going to make sure everything works. It's going to be great. It's going to be grand. But the thing is, ability is also going to be like weapon customization. It's going to be move customization. It's going to be magic customization. It's going to be a lot of different things altogether. So hopefully everything works in that regard. And me having to fucking do the math. God, there's so much math. So, next Wednesday, most likely, we're going to be probably doing, depending on how much abilities take. If abilities don't take too long, we should be good. The beauty of freeform magic. Yeah, freeform magic is going to be fucking fun. I know what to do with it. I know how to do it. It's going to be mostly a game of doing it, though, and that's going to be the idea. Luckily, I already have kind of a few freeforms magic ideas to do it with. It's just going to take time to adapt everything over. If abilities go smoothly, we can then work on next Wednesday will be the emotional matrix, and kind of the more like social dynamics between things, which then will feed into advancement. And then we should be relatively done. At that point, it's really just finishing up a lot of the side stuff. Like, once the main crux of things are done, we're good. Because overall, like, a lot of this stuff is side notes. Like, these are either entirely based on it's lore stuff. Honestly, yeah, it's 33 pages of notes. However, it's 33 pages of notes that see this entire section right here? Don't give a fuck about it. Do not give a singular fuck about any of this, because it doesn't apply to the actual mechanics. It's when you say, oh, here's my ancient artifacts and here's all this stuff, what you're doing is you're building your weapons like that. What you're going to do as a GM, you're going to say, when you are building your weapons, you give them this. Or, hey, you want to represent, you got a cool artifact, here's some more points to spend on weapons alone and nothing else. Cool. Let's say for another one, like the Nerivians right here. Actually, don't even talk about that. The Nameless Island. Never Island, even stuff like that. It's a lot of people here. It's like this. All lore stuff. Don't really need to worry about that mechanically speaking. Like, that's kind of the big thing for a lot of this stuff, is that mechanically speaking, you don't really need to worry about that kind of stuff. It's going to be a lot about the GM kind of knowing these things and applying it here. For example, like mysticism lore, like, let me close this out. I don't need this anymore. Goodbye, notepad. Like mysticism, defense 4 is great, and yet flex magic and creatures. Understand how to protect nameless ones in heaven. Even those with low intelligence may know a thing or two about the topic. Yeah, make me a target number, instead of target number 6, make me a target number 4 check on it. Cool. Done. That's it. That's all you need to know. I built this system for this in case. Like, I would say probably, like, these guys would need something because they end up with, like, weird shit like this. But even then, like, this is very much a... Guess what? Mechanically speaking, a lot of this doesn't matter. Being frank. Being perfectly honest with you. Like, a lot of this, guess what? Doesn't matter. Gonna be frank. This is gonna be a lot of GM stuff right here. You know, airship piloting system, I'm gonna have to put that in. Probably I'm gonna put that in, like, right in the adventure section, like, right down here. Actually, I could probably put it down below home base, like, piloting vehicles and stuff. Because that's cool. Or it's like, oh, like, the drag shows and stuff. Don't question it. Just role play it out, man. That's all I can say. Like, Lux combo, I have the idea of what to do. Like, but some of this is just hard to do in, like, guess what? Because this is just difficult to do in, like, just sheer tabletop game. Because mobile game on Magic Phone. This one not on Magic Phone. This is already covered. We already did that. Then we're gonna have to do the rune gathering and send, like, once the main mechanics are done, then we can start worrying about these. Like the special equipment stuff, you know, all the shit like this. Like, we can worry about that later. Because it doesn't matter what we're doing here. Like, none of this really applies to just raw gameplay. Like, graves, yeah, like... GoldenEye Unleashing, this is actually useful. Okay. We can work with this. Pretty much, it's just going to be a lot of notes. It's going to be a lot of me going through things once the main set of mechanics are done, and adding either a shit ton of side notes or adding in, like, little bits and pieces of mechanics. I know for, like, the Gyee in general, I specifically gave them an entire second page. Like, I'm going to give them an entire second page, which is going to be solely dedicated to, so you want to do with this, so you want to do with this, so you want to do with this. It's like, so you want to play a Dracodian, do this, this, and this, and this. So you want to do this, and this, and this, and this. Just because they're There isn't actually much on constructs, so I don't really want to worry about them too much, and there aren't really that much on humans outside they're human, hence why they just get a shit ton of attribute points and ability points. So, thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad Anon. Hope you all had a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you all tomorrow, actually. Because I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. Maybe on YouTube, maybe not. I don't know yet. And we're going to be streaming the creation of Guild, a game about sacrifice and losing people you love. So, thank you all, and I will see you all later.